How did people inside Taiwan react to Shinzo Abe's assassination? He was an important figure in the Japanese-Taiwanese relations. Okay, so today in this video, I'm going to answer this question and talk a little bit about how Taiwan and Taiwanese people have been reacting to the recent assassination of the former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, considering his significance in the Taiwan-Japan relationship. And of course, some of you guys might not know about his importance in the Taiwan-Japan relationship to begin with, so as the title suggests, that's also what I'm going to cover in the first part of the video, also as a way to appreciate all of his contributions to Taiwan. So first and foremost, I just like to say again that I'm really sorry to hear about this tragedy. My deepest condolences to Japan and your loss, and I hope him rest in peace. Okay, so the former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has long been known for holding the friendliest attitude towards Taiwan among all prime ministers in Japan. He always referred Taiwan as an important old friend to Japan, and according to the news I've read, in several of his speeches, he even straight up called Taiwan a country. As a prime minister, he has proposed many policies in favor of Taiwan regarding the whole China-Taiwan controversies, and even after he resigned, he continued to use his influence to help Taiwan during a lot of predicaments. So not just as a prime minister, but even as a person, he has done and said many things that clearly showed how much he liked Taiwan and was very in favor of Taiwan. For instance, in 2021, Taiwan faced a huge crisis as China suddenly banned import of pineapples from Taiwan. This was very likely because of the Taiwanese government's attitude being more and more for independence. But anyway, China used to be the biggest export country for Taiwan-produced pineapples, so of course this was a huge strike on the fruit industry in Taiwan. But soon after this, Japan started buying those pineapples that were rejected by China, and the Prime Minister Shinzo Abe even went as far to personally tweet a picture of him and the pineapples from Taiwan to help promoting them to more Japanese people. Because of this, the major trade of Taiwanese pineapples suddenly switched from China to Japan over a very short period of time, as you can see from the graph. Same in 2021, there was also a time the pandemic became drastically more severe in Taiwan, and we were in desperate need for vaccine, but there was not enough for everyone. At the time, Shinzo Abe was no longer the prime minister, but he used his influence to make it possible for Japan to ship vaccines to Taiwan fast. When talking about this, he mentioned how in the 311 earthquake in year 2011, Taiwanese people donated the most money to Japan of all countries, and said that the vaccine donation was a way to give back the favor. Now, to provide more background info, the 311 earthquake, where Taiwan donated the most money to Japan throughout the world, was a very important event regarding the Japan-Taiwan relationship. I've heard that before this, many Japanese people had actually never even heard of Taiwan, but after this donation, many Japanese people seem to become very friendly towards Taiwanese people, and some would even express appreciation when they meet Taiwanese people in Japan. And interestingly, in the next year, 2012, Shinzo Abe became the prime minister, and the relationship between Taiwan and Japan just kept on becoming closer and stronger from there. In 2018, there was also a serious earthquake in Hualien, Taiwan. In response to this, Shinzo Abe not only sent expert teams over to help rescuing the victims, he even made a very heartwarming video of himself personally writing in Mandarin to wish Taiwan remain strong and get through the difficulty. So honestly, before I knew he was behind all this, I was actually a bit surprised and curious about the overwhelmingly positive reactions from Japanese people towards these things that happened in Taiwan. Like, for example, I've heard from someone who lived in Japan that during the time, a lot of Japanese people also bought a lot of pineapples from Taiwan in hope to provide some help. And I was actually quite surprised that they even knew about this thing in the first place. And also for the vaccine donation, during the time, I saw a Japanese news covering this on YouTube, so it was made by a Japanese news media. So I clicked on it and read through the comments, and I was also very surprised at how many Japanese people were still mentioning the 311 events and how Taiwan donated the most money out of all countries in the world. So of course, I really appreciate how so many Japanese people were showing their willingness to help Taiwan. But again, I was never expecting so many Japanese people to care about Taiwan and what was happening in Taiwan. And then I read about what their former prime minister did, and I generally had this impression that he probably indeed had also a huge influence on how his people see Taiwan, because these people were literally saying the same thing as he did and also doing the same thing as he did. So I can see that he definitely plays a significant role in the relationship between Taiwan and Japan, not just on an international relations level, but also it significantly helped to strengthening the relationship between general Taiwanese people and Japanese people as well. And then, as I said, as a prime minister, he always made it very clear that he was on Taiwan's side regarding the whole China-Taiwan controversies. He has a very famous quote, which I've seen news media translated it into: a Taiwan emergency is a Japanese emergency and thus an emergency for the Japan-US alliance, which he constantly reiterated in his speech in various national and international events, meaning that if China invades Taiwan or does anything similar to try and gain control over, Japan will immediately be put in a dangerous position as well. And because of that, he was very vocal about his support of the democratic value implemented in Taiwan and against CCP's plan to take over. So much so that he received warning from the Chinese government not to interfere with China's internal affairs. But for example, he used to vocalize his support to include Taiwan in the free and open Indo-Pacific strategy. And in his speech directed at Taiwan last year, he also mentioned that he was in full support of letting Taiwan into the CPTPP, the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, which I suppose might be one of the reasons why Taiwan officially applied to become a member last September. So now, how does Taiwan and Taiwanese people react to this recent assassination that took him away? This is obviously also a very big news covered across different media and platforms. And from the comments that I've read on the internet, surely most people are sad about how the one person who has always supported Taiwan and has had such a strong influence on the Japan-Taiwan relations is now gone forever. People in the comments were thanking him for what he's done for Taiwan. Many expressed beliefs because nobody expected such thing to happen in Japan. And some people are also worried that once he's gone, the relationship between Taiwan and Japan might slowly become more distant over time. And not just on the internet, a lot of Taiwanese people also went to the Japan-Taiwan Exchange Association and wrote their prayers, thanks, and messages in honor of him. On the wall, the huge words wrote, "To Taiwan's forever friend Shinzo Abe, Prime Minister." Another thing I would like to share with you guys is that there's also this comment basically saying that they hope it was the Chinese President Xi who got assassinated instead of the Japanese former Prime Minister. This comment received a lot of likes. In fact, it received the most likes out of all comments under this post. While I'm not going to express any opinion regarding this comment, I generally speaking, I don't feel comfortable talking about wanting someone to die, let alone to talk about it on camera, but I still feel like I should at least let you guys know the existence of this comment because it did receive a lot of attentions and a lot of Taiwanese people seem to agree with it as well. So if you guys would like to express your opinion on this in the comments, you're definitely more than welcome to do so. As for our president and vice president who know Shinzo Abe personally, one thing that shocked many people was that our vice president Lai personally flew to Japan and attended the funeral specifically held for family and close friends. What surprised even more people was that within a few hours, the current Prime Minister of Japan managed to give him the permit to enter, like normally the visa application would take days, in order for him to be on time for the funeral. And then, apparently, China is not happy about it. Like, I don't know what to say. Personally, I think not everything is about politics, and this time it's quite obvious that our vice president was not doing it as a political statement, because this entire time he wasn't doing it as a vice president. He was directly invited by the family member and attended the funeral specifically for family and close friend, never as a vice president of Taiwan, and also never did he make any formal announcement as a vice president either. But I guess at this point, the Chinese government really is just going to be triggered by every smallest thing related to Taiwan, it seems. As for our President Tsai, firstly, she ordered to fly the flag at half-mast on July 10th to honor him. Secondly, she visited the Japan-Taiwan Exchange Association on July 11th to pay respect. Lastly, she also made a post on Instagram in memory of him, and also she strongly criticized violence behavior, to which a lot of comments were from Japanese people expressing appreciation. Okay, so that was basically it. I really hope this video was able to provide some helpful information, so please leave a like if it did, and please subscribe for more Taiwan-related content. And lastly, I just want to quickly say that I fully understand if you do not have the most positive opinion about him, because I've also read comments saying something like they personally don't like him, but also they do not think he deserved what happened to him. And I do think it's pretty fair. I totally understand that you may or may not like him depending on what relationship he had with your country. And you guys know that I'm not the best at geopolitics unless it's directly related to Taiwan, so I honestly don't know that much about what he did as a politician unless it's directly related to Taiwan. So again, I fully respect your opinion no matter what you think of him. It's just that if we only talk about the things that he has done and said for Taiwan, I definitely really appreciate it, as many other Taiwanese people, and am really grateful for his contributions to Taiwan and the Japan-Taiwan relationship. That being said, it's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.